NBA Live Mobile Season 7 is pretty much the exact same game that we've had for the last now 3 years. And to be honest, when we first got news of Season 7, I was quite hopeful with what we could get. Maybe a new season mode, maybe some new changes to graphics and all of that stuff. As we got closer and closer to the release date with how things were planning out, my hope kind of went down and down to the point where I was kind of just expecting us to get the same game as we have had previously. And that is exactly what we have got. Now, I have noticed that quite a few people have sort of blamed this on Nick, who was the community manager for NBA Live Mobile, saying that he was promising us all of these insane new features, and now for us to not get that is kind of like a scam, to which I really disagree. Nick is there as the community manager, sort of bridging the gap between the developers of the game and us, and he tried his hardest, I believe. Obviously, I have no idea what goes on behind the scenes, but I believe he did try his hardest to sort of relay information from the developers to us in how the game was looking. Obviously, that gets a bit tough towards the end when it looked like EA were trying to sort out new features and see what they could add and what they couldn't add to the game. So that made it a little bit more difficult for him to say what could be and couldn't be, and trying not to get our hopes up too much. So for people to say that he sort of scammed us into believing that this was going to be an insane new season, I kind of disagree with. Think about how much stuff he has done for the game in terms of the community aspect, with those live streams on Twitch, giving us sneak peeks for all the promos, and of course granting and doing all those giveaways. So it's sad to see, and of course he did post that final stream on their Twitch, which was a little bit sad to see. Now we won't be getting any of those EA streams, and it does leave the future of the game a little bit unknown as to what's going on. The popularity sort of dropped quite dramatically, and usually when we see a new season come out, the popularity goes up, and then it either goes down quite a bit or it stays the same, or potentially goes up even more if it's really good. And this season it's just fallen off a cliff, and it has been one of the worst starts to a season that I have potentially seen, especially considering all of the hype from previous seasons as well. And I know that we have had this now twice on the rollover from season 5 to season 6. It was pretty much the same thing, but I don't think it was as worse as it is from 6 to 7. But why is it the case that we are getting the same season? Now for this, I am going to have to go back a little bit in time, and I will have to use a bit of detective work as it were, but I'm also going to be making a massive amount of assumptions. I have no idea whether any of this is actually true. But if you look back to season 5, after season 4 had just finished, we got season 5 and it was completely new. It was brand new from season 4, and we did have a completely new look and feel to the game. Now I'm not saying that was absolutely perfect. There were lots of different bugs with it. They kind of started off a little bit too good in the season for what we got later on in terms of boost and all of that stuff, but that was okay. There was a lot of creativity with sort of the promos we were getting. Most of them were pretty brand new in the structures, and we did get them a couple of times repeated here and there. But one thing that was highlighted was that there was a completely new team, I believe, working on the game. Again, this is where we're getting into some assumptions here and there, but behind the game, the EA team that were making it were completely new, or at least there were a majority of people who were new to the team taking over the game from season 4. So that of course led to us believing that we were going to see new things, and of course there were going to be new changes and all of that stuff, which we did see in season 5. Now as I mentioned earlier, there were a couple of little mishaps here and there in terms of boost, maybe not updating things as planned, but overall it was an okay season. And then season 6, they sort of took exactly what they did in season 5, but just sort of tweaked things up a little bit behind the scenes in terms of boost, maybe the progress throughout the season, updating things a little bit more, but it did kind of get a bit more like the same old sort of stuff. You'd gone from season 5 with the promos, which is probably the main part of this game, being the same copy and paste promos again and again, because in season 5 those were the new formats, and then in season 6 we were just getting those formats again and again and again throughout the entirety of that season. And now on to season 7, where I'm completely making assumptions over here, but if you go into the game credits, you will notice that it's actually split between 2 different teams. It says it's developed and produced by Hyderabad, India and Orlando, Florida, which is pretty interesting because I don't think I've seen this Indian company before, which does lead me to wonder potentially towards the end of season 6 there was this new team that were being brought on into the game, and that was kind of the reason why they had these ideas of the new features they were working on, which didn't ultimately make the cut in season 6 into season 7 straight away. And I can't find any past videos of past season credits, so again I'm just assuming this is new. I could be completely wrong about that, but Nick did allude to something sort of like this in his final stream, and he did also say that there would be some new features and that the team were working on those new features, but unfortunately they didn't make it into season 6. When we were waiting for season 7, there was no official release date. In fact, when we got an official release date, it didn't come out on that same day. There were delays, there were different dates thrown around everywhere, and it wasn't really the best start to a season. And I do believe that's because they were simply working on this new stuff, or I'm hoping it was because they were working on this new stuff. They really wanted to put that that stuff out, but unfortunately it wasn't the case. Again, I'm not EA, I don't work for them, I have no idea what goes on behind the scenes, but a little bit of clarity between us, the players, and the developers would have been kind of nice. I wouldn't have minded if they did something similar to what FIFA Mobile did when they were gearing up for their massive change to the game with commentary, 60 FPS, all new graphics, all of that stuff. What they did was they let the players know, okay, we are going to extend the season. It usually comes out at this date, but we are going to extend it a little bit more, probably about 3 or 4 months. And then as we get closer, we'll release bits and bobs of information regarding that new release. So that made players aware that they were in for this extended period of time on the season that they were in at the moment. And they knew by the end of that time, they were getting a completely new season. Whereas with Season 7, there is that still disconnect between us, the players, and of course the developers. Yes, more recently, it has been sort of bridged between Nick and of course the Discord server, all of that stuff, which I think is a massive positive. But in my opinion, it still could be done a little bit more. And this is me giving some constructive criticism. I'm not hating on the game or anything like that, because I believe that this game has so much potential that could be used to reach so many different people. And it is still a great game. If you look at it from the point of view of a player who has just started playing the game, they've just downloaded the app, they're going to think this game is really, really good. And it is just for people like me who have been playing the game for absolutely ages to find it a little bit sad to see that we aren't getting these updates. But what now? We are stuck with the same game we've had since Season 6, pretty much no changes in any of the modes or the promo structures it's looking like so far. Again, it is still early days of the season, but I am still a little bit optimistic. We've heard multiple times that EA are still working on the game in terms of different modes, different changes to mode like seasons, and we have seen, of course, when we were looking at Season 7 news on the Google Play Store, some updates in the form of images. In fact, you can still actually go and see one of those images on the App Store today if you actually go ahead and search up NBA Live Mobile. So I'm still a little bit optimistic as to what they are working on in Season 7, and I am still hopeful that they are going to make these changes. I have no idea when they will occur, whether they will occur during Season 7 or Season 8, I have absolutely no idea. But we are sort of left in the middle over here where you can still go ahead and play the game, you can still enjoy it, and I'm sure a couple of you guys are enjoying it. Personally, at the moment, I'm not really enjoying the game. I've got a bit tired of playing the same thing over and over again, and that is just me personally. That's not to say you guys can't enjoy the game, and of course it is still a game. It's not something that has to be a certain way. It's you deciding to play that game, and for me at the moment, I'm not really playing it a huge amount. Again, I do just want to say a large part of this video is me making assumptions. I don't know anything about what goes on behind the scenes at EA, as I'm not tied to them in any way, shape or form. So this is just going off of my speculation and what I've seen around the community. But what does that mean for the channel itself? Well, you might have noticed that I haven't been posting as regularly as usual since the release of Season 7, and that is partly because I have been busy in real life, but it's mainly due to the fact that I haven't been playing the game as much, which has then led me to not really want to make a huge amount of content about the game, seeing as I'm not really playing it a huge amount. And that is something that I do want to change, because I do really enjoy making content, whether that be about the game, whether that be about other stuff. Just being able to create videos and share them, it's something that I have really liked to do, and it's probably part of the reason I have continued doing YouTube since when I started. So now I'm sort of left between, do I stick with NBA Live Mobile or do I go on to other stuff? And I do kind of want to try new things on the channel, whether that be other games such as NBA 2K Mobile, maybe some console games like FIFA or NBA 2K23 or something like that. If you've got any suggestions of games you want to see me play, let me know in the comment section down below. But aside from just games, I am thinking of maybe switching over to maybe some other type of content, whether that be sport related, NBA related, football related, anything like that, or maybe something completely different. I have absolutely no idea. So again, if you could drop any ideas down below, it'd be much appreciated, because at the end of the day, I'm putting out videos for you guys to watch, and I would really appreciate your feedback. So I don't know exactly what the future is going to hold, not just for the game, but for the channel, but hopefully both things will head off in a really nice direction. And if you did enjoy the video, then make sure you drop a like so it can spread to more people, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.